Hi there, welcome back to Mudwalkers. My name is Chris. Check out the links in the description below, especially the link tree. And hit the subscribe button here on YouTube, it helps a lot. You may already know that my favorite movie of all time is James Cameron's 2009 film, Avatar. It's my favorite for a lot of reasons, but for a summary, check out the video here. One of the things that I like about the film is that the Na'vi wear pretty sensible clothing for their environment. The only thing about their clothing that I don't like is the fact that the female Na'vi specifically wear these huge elaborate necklaces. It just so happened to always, like 99.999% of the time, just happen to cover up the nipples from the perspective of the camera angle. And like I say in my original video about Avatar, I kind of get why Cameron had to do that for an American audience, but it's not very realistic. I was talking to a family member recently about Avatar, and he asked me, because he knows I'm a naturist, he asked me what I thought about the Na'vi wearing loincloths. And I said, I actually think the loincloths make a lot of sense, which surprised him, because he expected me to have a problem with the fact they were wearing anything. I think the loincloths actually kind of make sense. I support the loincloths for a few reasons. Mostly that they're very realistic. In a jungle environment, it's really going to suck to wear shirts and pants and shoes. You're going to succumb to really serious skin and foot infections if you try to wear all that in a humid environment like Pandora's forests. But if you have a lot of biting insects and parasites and thorns and such, it pays to cover certain things up. Yeah, I can tell you from my own personal experience and having watched naked women deal with things out in the humid air that you don't want mosquitoes on stuff. You just don't. So anything you can do to minimize that or any other sort of harm that would happen to you down there, like walking through thorns, that has happened to me before. You know, walking around in the jungles of South Central Louisiana, I have occasionally caught a thorn in a place that I would rather not have had one. But yeah, so all that to say, I think the loincloths actually make a lot of sense on a practical level. That being said, I think that realistically the best thing to do with a loincloth would be to take it off when you're at leisure, to kind of let everything breathe and kind of, help to engage in some AOA and to better society, etc., etc. I think it's better to be nude when you can, wear a loincloth if you have to. But yeah, not a huge deal in terms of the movie. One of the things you could do with taking the loincloths off, one of the reasons it would be good is because whenever you cover things up, that's when they get sexualized. You want to see a culture of men who sexualize women's faces. That's going to be a culture that keeps the face covered. You want to see a culture that sexualizes women's feet. That's going to be a culture where women have to keep their feet covered all the time. You want to find a culture where women's breasts are sexualized everywhere you look. That's a culture where no one is uncovering breasts. So if you keep covering genitals really constantly, ubiquitously, you're going to end up with lust problems you wouldn't have otherwise. So I would say if you need to wear the loincloth, wear the loincloth. Otherwise, take it off, because it's going to cause you societal harm. It could even cause physical harm if you wear it when you don't need it. Okay, now an interesting question. Why a loincloth and not like briefs, like a bikini bottom or something? Why? Well, there are a few reasons. One, loincloths are more authentic to human history because loincloths have been worn wherever there have been humans and warm weather for basically all of human existence. You find depictions of loincloths going all the way back into the archaeological record, at least as far as I've ever seen. You find loincloths, so they're pretty ubiquitous and, like I said, pretty useful. Second, in a wild setting, a rewilded setting, a non-civilized setting, elastic materials are going to be basically non-existent, and it pays to have something that you can tie onto yourself that doesn't hold itself on with elastic, because that's just going to be the materials that you have to work with. And no, it's not just as well to have a non-elastic bikini bottom that has ties on the sides. That wouldn't work as well, and here's why. The reason why is because this is my loincloth. It's not a particularly great one. You can see through it and whatnot. It's not very tough, but it's representative. The point is that this is a very long, broad, rectangular piece of cloth. I can use this for lots of things. If I end up having to take this off and use it for other purposes, this is going to be really, really versatile. But a tie-on bikini bottom is not going to be as versatile. I mean, you can use it for some things, but not as many. And I think in general, this is just more versatile. So I vote loincloth over bikini bottom, even if it has ties on it. And number 4, it doesn't look like you're walking around in your underwear. I know this one is subjective, but it is true. So, loincloths are pretty useful, but before we look at how to put one on, let's take a look at our patrons. This episode of Mudwalkers has been brought to you by my generous supporters over on Patreon. Shout out to Nature Him, Todd, Edward, John S., Joseph, Charlie, Lionheart, Adam M., Edward T., Jay Good, Cyan B., John W., Clifton M., None Here, Marty, Austin S., Martin C., Benjamin M., this person, JLDL, coolest nudist, coolest name on the list, by the way. Oops, bumped the camera. Gary, Corky S., Kent L., John F., Jeremy H., Richard M., PJ H., Tom L., David B., Joe S., Cedric, Chim K., and Dennis R. Fellas, thank you so much for everything you're doing on Patreon. I couldn't do what I'm doing without you. You guys are making my content, as we currently know it, possible. I couldn't be making the things that I'm making without you guys. So, thank you. And if you're not already subscribed on YouTube, please subscribe on YouTube and leave my videos watching in the background or whatever. I need more watch hours, I need more subscribers, you know, boring analytics stuff. But I am getting so close to monetization. And if you guys can help me out with that, then the more I make online, the more I'm able to do for you. So just, you know, food for thought. Okay, so we're going to start with a belt. That's going to be the foundation for everything else. Just put that right over your hip bones like you usually would. There you go. Now we're going to take the loincloth. We're going to take one end and pass it up through the belt like so. Make sure the top is nice and flat like this. And then you're going to take that bottom portion, that longer portion, and pull that back between your legs and up over the tailbone and pass it up through the belt and flat on top like the front. At that point, you can go for the full wedgie, or you can spread it out flat in the back. That's up to you. If you like to have them symmetrical or longer in the front or longer in the back, up to you, but there you go. That's essentially a loincloth, just like that. That's how it works. Now, the belt also serves as a great foundation for carrying things. Here's my CRKT Hisatsu, my favorite hunting knife. And then over here we have just, you know, a couple random Maxpedition pouches for carrying all your bits and bobs, anything else you want to carry. That basically replaces the pockets on pants. And from there, you are basically ready to hunt or whatever else it is you're gonna do. Bada bing, bada boom. Here we go. Rawr! Thanks for sticking around and watching the video. Stay tuned for more Mudwalkers content. Keu no do ai.